Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook. As always, thank you for checking out this video. Today we're going to take a closer look at the brand new version 3 Antique from Cornerstone Music Gear. This is basically their take on a tube screamer, but I have to say, don't write this off as just another tube screamer. This thing has a lot to offer, lots of great features, especially with the new version. I would say I probably fall somewhere in the middle of the spectrum as far as loving or hating tube screamers. I don't always have one in my rig, but sometimes when you're looking for certain types of tones, you need one. We're going to take a listen to a full band demo where all the guitars use the new Antique, and then we're also going to take a closer look at the pedal, talk about some of the features, the new features, as well as hear some solo tones. All right, let's get into it. All right, I've got the Antique hooked up. I'm using my black American Vintage reissue Telly. I'm plugging straight into the Antique, and then I'm going into my deluxe reverb. Here is the clean sound. All right, so let's take a look at the features, and I kind of want to explain a few of them before we turn it on here. Obviously, like a normal tube screamer, we've got volume, tone, and gain. And then we also have the addition of this presence knob. Now, I really like this presence knob just because it allows you to kind of open it up. A lot of times tube screamers can sound really mid-rangey. They roll off some top end. That just makes them sound really closed off to me, and I feel like with the addition of this presence control, we can really open up the pedal a lot. Currently I have it set about 2 o'clock or so, and I feel like this gives a nice kind of openness to it. The other thing I want to mention, at least right now, is the comp switch here in the middle. I have it set to down. I feel like the comp up, when the position is selected up, that's where the compression aspect is dialed in there. That feels a little more to me like a traditional tube screamer, whereas down is definitely more open, it's punchier. I don't feel like it's kind of squishing everything quite as much. Let's take a listen. Now you can kind of hear that signature kind of mid-range honk that a tube screamer has, but again, there's a little more openness with this presence control. I'm going to dial this back just a hair and you can kind of see how that sits with it around noon. That to me feels more like a traditional tube screamer, just not quite as open on the top end. That can be great for some amps, certain types of settings and sounds that you're going for. So we're gonna switch up this comp switch now, and I'll let you guys hear that. First I'll just play a little bit with it down again, and then I'll switch it up. Now, to me, that feels a lot more compressed. It feels kind of squishier. I find in some settings and some uses that additional compression really gives me a lot of sustain, especially single note stuff. It just wants to kind of hang on to those notes a little longer. Let's bump the gain up a little bit, and I'll play some higher single note stuff. Again, with that switch up in the comp position, it really does add some nice sustain there. The next thing I want to talk about here is the hot mode. Now, this is a new addition for the version 3 Antique, and this is really cool and not maybe as straightforward as it might appear. So the hot mode is essentially kind of a boosted mode, but the way that it accomplishes this is essentially to boost on either side of the circuit. So the hot mode is actually capable of the same sounds that you're getting you know, in the normal mode, but then depending on how you set it, you can get more gain at the same volume. You can get you know, additional gain and a louder boost. The way that this circuit is laid out is that there is a clean boost going into the pedal, so you can push it into more overdrive, or you have a boost afterwards that just allows you to get more volume. So I'm going to adjust these controls again, and I'll kind of set this so that it sounds about the same between the two modes, and then we can kind of tweak it and see where we can get. So we're going to go back to kind of where we started. I believe the volume and gain were around 11 o'clock or so. It's a little hard for me to see with where I'm sitting right now, but I think that's about it. So that's pretty close. I probably could tweak that a little more to get it a little closer. But so we're going to bring up this side of it. And this is essentially, at least from my understanding, this should be the boost that's going into it. So it's going to be giving us more gain. It's essentially driving that drive circuit a little more. Now you can tell that it's not adding a lot of volume, it's just kind of saturating that drive circuit. So we can go over to this side, which this would be kind of the post boost. Also, you know, how we think of this is because it is under the gain, it's kind of labeled as the gain, but they are just essentially boost in the circuit. So if we want more volume, we can bring that up. So this should give us a little bit more saturation, a little bit more gain, but then also give us some of that volume boost. Let's hear that with the comp mode disengaged. There's one thing about this pedal that's taken me a little getting used to, and then it's how these function right here. So this basically turns the normal mode on and off, right? And then this turns our hot mode on and off. But when I hit this again, it doesn't go back to the normal mode. It just turns it off. So that allows you, it's a really smart and really great design, I think. I don't know that I've seen this. I personally haven't seen it on another pedal, but it allows you to go straight to the hot mode, or straight off of the hot mode, or straight to the normal mode, straight off of the normal mode. Obviously, if you're on the normal mode, then you can go to the hot mode here, or if you're on the hot mode, you can hit back on normal. But you know, most of the time it would kind of be like you're on the normal mode and then you hit hot mode. And then if you hit this again, it would go back to normal mode. Or if you wanted to turn the whole thing off, then you would hit this. But it goes back to the normal mode. Again, I think once you wrap your head around it, it makes a lot of sense. But it took me a minute to get used to how that switching works. So let's tweak these controls a little bit just to give you guys a better feel for this pedal. I'm going to bring this tone knob down some and bring this presence up. I found some kind of cool tones this way. And kind of go the opposite way. We'll bring the presence down, bring that tone control up a little bit. Bring that gain up even more. I find for me, setting these tone knobs kind of in the middle here is a great starting point. Again, I like this presence boosted just a little bit, just to open it up a little more. I think in some ways it does a disservice to listen to these types of circuits soloed, because the magic in a tube screamer circuit is what it does to your guitar in a full mix. Pushing that mid-range, rolling off a little top end, adding sustain. All of these things are going to really help your guitar sit forward in the mix and be heard in, in a dense, cluttered mix, or just a mix where, there are drums, bass, other guitars, all of that. Tube screamers do a great job of kind of pushing your guitar in front of all of that so that it can be heard well. I think the Antique version 3 does a great job in capturing these classic tube screamer type sounds, but then also gives you extra versatility with the addition of the presence control. Again, that's probably my favorite. I just love the clarity that brings. The comp switch, which gives you some good options as far as a squishier, more sustained sound, as opposed to with it down, you get kind of punchier sounds. To me, they sound a little cleaner. Both are great sounds. And then the addition of the hot mode, especially I could see myself using this a lot in live settings where I want to go between kind of two different types of sounds or boost my sound even a little more than kind of my initial sound with the pedal on. I think Cornerstone Music Gear is making some incredible pedals these days. I mean, really, they always have. Every pedal I've played from them has always sounded great and had lots of great features. If you haven't seen it, I recently did a review on the Nero Fuzz. That's an incredible sounding fuzz with some really cool features as well. So I'll link that one down in the description for you guys. That's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you to Cornerstone Music Gear for having me on this release. Yeah, and until next time, I'll see you out there.